So with Christmas almost here, I figured why not make a video about creating Christmas tunes for sync licensing? Is it a good idea? Should you do it? When should you pitch these kind of tracks? And what's the licensability of Christmas music? How does that all work? Well, we got a few things to dive into. So number one, obviously you watch TV and you watch commercials and promos, and Christmas music is used a lot during November and December, of course. So it's certainly licensable. It's something I've done a little bit in my career. Actually, earlier on, I was asked to create EDM covers of old Christmas tunes, essentially public domain Christmas tunes. And by the way, if you're unsure of which classic or traditional Christmas songs are in the public domain, meaning that you can cover them without having to get permission, they're in a link below. So I actually found a little link that'll maybe help you guys out so you don't have to do that research yourself. So certainly it can be placed, it can be licensable, creating classic Christmas tunes, and especially reinventing them, reimagining them in kind of a more modern place. Sometimes even going into a dark kind of evil place, you can find actually some licensability there. So essentially kind of bringing the old, reinventing it, and making it new again is certainly licensable. However, there's a couple of big buts that you need to be aware of before you decide that throwing out your music to libraries like Christmas music would be something you want to do. Number one, it is a limited marketplace essentially, right? Because if you're putting out Christmas music, when can you get potential placements? 2 months out of the year, maybe 3, but really just November, December is really all you're going to see in terms of getting placements. So I like to create music that can get me placements in January, in June, in August, in September, in anywhere, right? So I don't think that focusing a lot of your catalog on Christmas music is a wise thing to do. Dabbling in it and maybe putting out an album here or there, certainly wise. But just remember that when you do that, you're essentially blocking out about 80% of the year and saying, I don't expect to get any placements at all. There's no reason why I'd get any placements at all for the other 80%. Because even if you got a placement that started in December, if it's an ad campaign, are they going to run a Christmas ad campaign into January or February? Of course not. They're canceling that thing like on Christmas Day. It's over, right? So just know that it's a limited, very small little marketplace. So it's not something that you should get too deep into, I don't believe, if you want to do full-time income with sync licensing. Second of all, it is something that you should first ask a music library that you're working with if you should do that, okay? A very unwise thing to do would be to think, let's say this is you thinking, I want to create, metal rock versions of classic public domain Christmas tunes, and I don't see that this library has any of that, so I'm going to go spend 2 months putting together this amazing album or 2 albums of this stuff and throw it at them and see what sticks. It's possible they might like it and feel like it's great, but it's more likely that they'll say, we don't really need that. Thank you so much. Do you have any original tunes though? Do you have anything like this or like that? Because what I found in my career is that music libraries usually aren't going to just start collecting covers or public domain songs unless they have a specific need for it from their clients, okay? And only certain libraries are going to have those kind of requests. And they usually come in from a very particular client, like a specific client needs this kind of music for an ad campaign or maybe some sort of a commercial or a promo or a show, a special, whatever they're doing, right? So usually you don't want to kind of just assume that they're going to need these songs. You want to ask them first. This is after you've been working with them for a while. Hey, I really want to get into Christmas music. Do you guys need Christmas music? And what style of Christmas music would you like? Can I do some covers? Would you like them to be more traditional, kind of orchestral, classical style? Or should I sort of reinvent them and make them modern and new and kind of hip? What would work for you guys? What's licensable? A big part of this business is making sure we don't get in our own way. And I've definitely been guilty of this in my career, where I thought, well, I like this music. I think this is really cool. I'm going to go spend a bunch of time and money on it, pay a singer to come and sing on it. And then I send it to a library and they're like, nah, we never asked for this. We can't really do anything with this. Thanks, but no thanks, right? Don't want you guys to be in that situation. So always just ask and talk to your libraries first. The third thing is timing, okay? So obviously right now in the middle of December is the last place you would ever want to start submitting Christmas music, even though it's in the air and you feel like you got the spirit and you got your decorations up in your studio and you're like, well, I can make a lot of Christmas music now. Maybe create the music now because you're in the mood and you're in the spirit, that's fine. But you got to realize that any production that's going to use Christmas music is probably going to be starting in September and October, and maybe into early November for some of those last minute campaigns. But basically, the tracks need to be already into your library's catalog by summer, really. I mean, August at the very, very, very latest. So maybe you want to start creating music now because it's Christmas season and you feel like you're in the spirit, but don't worry about pitching it until summertime, okay? Or, because that's what's really hard. I remember when I was creating my Christmas music, it was literally in the middle of July. And it was fun because it totally took my head into another headspace. So maybe you want to experiment with that. But you do need to kind of get into the Christmas spirit 6 months before the season, and then make sure that your library has those, of course, after they've asked for it from you. Make sure they have it by August so that they can get it into the hands of their clients by the next couple of months, and probably earlier than August. Honestly, July. I think July maybe is where you want to go, because it takes them a while to process it, get it on their website, make sure their clients are aware of it. It just takes time for things to move in this business, okay? But it's certainly an avenue you can go into, and all of this stuff, everything that I just said, with the exception of the time of the year when you get placements, also pretty much extends to cover songs as well. I would not go to a library and think, well, they don't have a lot of cover songs, so I'm just going to throw a bunch of cover songs together. Cover songs are even more tricky because now you have to go, especially if they're not in public domain, you have to go to the original publisher and get permission, and some libraries are open to doing that if they feel like they can be profitable, but a lot are not because they're like, that's just more parties we have to get involved and more contracts, and we're not going to make a lot of money off of covers. It's not really our bread and butter. So again, don't make assumptions. Always ask them first. Hope you guys are having a fantastic December, and hopefully you're going to have a very wonderful and safe holiday with your friends and family, and hopefully you can get some rest. I would hope take a little bit of time away from music and away from YouTube and away from technology and just kind of get back into basics of life. I think that's a really, really fundamental thing for us all to remember from time to time. And of course, Christmas is just a great time to remember all that good stuff about being close to your friends and family. So I wish you guys all the best.